Hello, everyone, and welcome to the SAS Viya Release Highlight Show. My name is Tiago de Souza, and today marks a monumental day in SAS history. So, we just finished up wrapping up our super successful SAS Explore event, which is completely available on demand, by the way. And there, the attendees heard the big announcement for the first time. SAS has a brand new Microsoft Azure Marketplace offering. This is huge because it's a completely new way to get SAS Viya running in just a few clicks. Completely on your own or with members of your own analytics team, you can get it up and running super quick and you'll see immediate value. So we'll get the full story on what that means today, and we'll see a demo as well. So let's get this launch party started. Grab a drink, sit back, relax, because Kate Uveling is joining us now with Alice McClure to talk more about SAS Viya on Microsoft Azure Marketplace. Cheers.
Cheers to you, Tiago. I'm so excited to be here today, but you know what? Sip on that drink right now. I'm going to bring Alice on the show for the release talk. All right, everybody, welcome to the release talk. Today, I have a super special guest. We have the Director of Product Marketing at SAS, Alice McClure, on the show. Alice, how are you doing today?
Doing great. Thank you for having me. Although I missed the memo about bringing a drink, so I'll have to make up for that later.
You certainly will have to. I was wondering, just to kick us off, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself and how you ended up at SAS.
Sure. I've worked in technology and software for really the majority of my career. And I must say, I do attribute myself to being a little bit of a product person at heart, with all the challenges and triumphs that come with it. So I must say, being at SAS and being a part of this launch, and a launch like this one where you know that you've built something and what we're delivering really embodies such a great opportunity for users to access our tooling, to use it to get going, and to do so when you need it and as you need it. So as this product person, as I've gone through my career in technology, I find myself very happy right now to be able to give users this kind of option.
Well, that's amazing to hear, and I know our users are thrilled to have this type of option, so thank you. All right, now let's talk all things SAS Viya on Microsoft Azure Marketplace. This is obviously such an exciting time for SAS, but what does this mean to you personally?
Well, data and analytics technologists and practitioners are looking to consume software in flexible ways, including acquiring that software oftentimes from cloud marketplaces as an option. And it's been critical to us here at SAS that we begin offering users the means to acquire and to start using and really gaining value from our software, and certainly from SAS Viya, in a flexible way. And this is a meaningful offering, and it's meaningful to me because, frankly, there's a lot in the box, and it spans across, and you're going to see a demonstration of this in just a few minutes, spanning across data preparation, model deployment, model management, statistical analysis, and there's even capabilities around forecasting and simulating really complex economic or business scenarios if that's what you need to do. This is a pay-as-you-go offering. It's priced at an hourly rate, so you pay for the software you need as you need it. And like I said, that hourly rate is inclusive of a really rich set of capabilities from SAS that help diverse analytics team do what is indeed really diverse work.
That sounds amazing. I know you're telling us about all these new, exciting, and complex capabilities, but what exactly do you get to work with in SAS Viya? I've heard a lot about the analytics lifecycle and things like that. Can you just break that down a little bit more for us?
Absolutely, yes. So the analytics lifecycle, and you're going to see an image that pops up on the screen here, a really fantastic graphic that helps to give you a little bit of a lay of the land of what we mean when we talk about the analytics lifecycle. And really, all that's meant here is to help to summarize that it's an iterative process of going from data to decisions and all of the phases in between. So data preparation, model development, model testing, and of course, ultimately deployment. And really specifically, with what's in the box, you'll find this robust set of applications. I mentioned robust capabilities, and I'll step through really quickly some of those applications that you can expect to see as you investigate this offering on the Azure Marketplace. It's inclusive of SAS data preparation, studio analyst, visual analytics, visual statistics as well, and visual data mining and machine learning. You're also going to have capabilities inclusive of, like I said, econometrics and optimization for some of those forecasting capabilities, along with model manager and also information governance. So just to really kind of go down the list of the applications you can expect to see. And if you're a SAS user, you may already know those products already. So these products are nothing new, and the capabilities of SAS Viya are nothing new. But making this available on the marketplace in a consumable way at an hourly rate, that is absolutely what is new here. And depending on your role, whether you're a data scientist or an analyst or a machine learning engineer, you'll come in and out of a couple of those applications in your daily work. And ultimately, you get to decide how much of this broad set of capabilities you can and want to use in order to do your best work. So again, all of those applications are part and parcel of this Viya offering that's now available in the marketplace. We're super excited.
Well, we are super excited as well. So I know you mentioned that, this offering is new, but the different parts of it are not new. SAS Viya is not new. But what if it is someone's first time using SAS Viya? What kind of resources can they get their hands on?
Yeah, good question. So first and foremost, we want to make resources available, not just for users to go and get from a community support page or from our website. All of that is good and important. But again, we first and foremost want to ensure that we're creating a means for users to be able to access really helpful information immediately at the outset of their welcome experience. So when you're in product and you're at that welcome page, you're going to immediately find things like model samples, example videos, how-to guides, access to SAS education resources, as well as, of course, documentation to go with it. Now, in addition to that welcome experience and being able to get going and learn how to do your best work and to do your best work quickly, this is also a community-supported offering where we've created a dedicated space on the SAS community site so that a user will have access to a lot of different information within that site as well, curated content, the opportunity to participate in forums if you choose to do so, and various resources listed therein as well. And our SAS technical experts will be monitoring that site to jump in and help to answer questions and address concerns. So those are some of the resources available in product, in app, and then also from the SAS community as well. And look, we encourage you to check this out. Again, check out the demo. That's what's not to give it away, but that's what's coming next. And look, super, super thrilled to offer this to our users, pay as you go at an hourly rate with a robust set of capabilities available as a get it now offering as it's described on the Azure Marketplace. And it's available now.
Well, Alice, you were the perfect guest on today's release talk. I think we should just get right into the demo to see all of this in action.
So hello,
Enjoy.
my name is Frederik van den Berge, and today I'm going to show you a new offering of SAS Viya on Microsoft Azure. In fact, it's nothing new. It's still SAS Viya as we know it today, but the way we are providing it, we are deploying it to our customer is new. We are deploying SAS Viya via the Azure Marketplace. And that actually means that we, SAS, as a publisher, are going to deploy SAS Viya in an Azure subscription belonging to the customer. We will deploy it in a specific region that the customer will choose during deployment. First of all, there will be a managed application created. That managed application will be living in an Azure resource group. We call it the application resource group that the customer provides during the deployment. He has full access to that Azure resource group, meaning he can delete at any time this managed application. At the same time, the consumer, so the customer, has limited access to a second Azure resource group. We call it the managed resource group. You will find it after deploying back because it will have a prefix by default starting with MRG, so managed resource group. And we get the permission to create in that Azure resource group a few resources, all the Azure resources we need to deploy Viya. Of course, the AKS or the Azure Kubernetes service is the main one because we will deploy all the SAS Viya containers on that Kubernetes service. We will also create a few public IP addresses and we will create an NFS server plus some attached Azure disks. Why we need that? Because we need a persistent storage layer for Viya. Customer will also have the option to provide his own DNS name during deployment. And this MRG group is also handy to retrieve after deployment the results of your deployment. More specifically, you will find input variables, but maybe more important, the output variables. Let's say you forgot what name you have provided during deployment, which DNS name, well, you will find it back as output variable afterwards. Now, with that, let's have a look to a concrete demo how we are deploying SAS Viya on Azure. So here I'm on portalazure.com where I find all the most recent accessed Azure services. I can see already the marketplace here, but if you don't see that, just start typing here market and you will find it easily back. So if we open the marketplace on Azure, you will see all kinds of offerings different vendors are selling through this Azure Marketplace. The one I'm talking about is actually here, SAS Viya on Microsoft Azure. I can click on that. I can select a plan. Currently, we only have one plan. And then I hit the Create button. Now I have to provide a few input parameters where I would like to deploy Viya. First of all, which subscription do you want to deploy Viya? I'm selecting here my own personal SAS subscription, and with that I also have to select, remember, the Azure resource group. Well, let me select here SAS Viya Azure, and then we have the region. Where do you want this deploying running? I most of the time select West Europe because that's the region close by for me, but of course you have the choice. Then you select a deployment name. Let's do here Viya Azure 4, simply because I already have 1, 2, and 3. And I will be consistent and I will do the same here. Well, this one is quite relevant. Deployment DNS prefix, followed by the region name that we have selected here, and then cloudapazure.com. You will access SAS Viya with this URL, Viya Azure 4 West Europe cloudapazure.com. Don't worry if you forget it here. You will retrieve it later as one of the output variables if you want. Next, we have to provide a password for our Viya admin user. And that will be the first user that we will use to access the environment. Also quite relevant is this thing here, SSH public key source. You can generate one or use one that you have already created before. Why we need that? Well, we will use that if we want to access afterwards the persistent storage layer, which is then again necessary for loading data, or maybe ODBC driver or database client libraries. All these kind of things you can bring on the persistent storage layer. This one here is actually if you want to secure your environment yes or no. If you don't select the checkbox, you make it open for everybody. If you select it, you have the option to specify the IPs or the IP ranges that you would like to allow access your environment. And then again, let's stay consistent with the application name. This is the information for the managed resource group. And I also have the habit to stay here consistent. So I do MRG SAS Viya Azure 4. This is just to retrieve after deployment my information easily back in the generated Azure resource groups. Now we click here on next. And there's one more thing I need to do, which is I need to agree with the terms and the conditions, which I do here. And then one more thing is hitting the create button. And with that, I'm actually installing or deploying Viya exactly the same way as what an IT department would otherwise do for you. The only difference is that here you're doing it completely yourself. So the deployment is now running. It will take about between 45 and 60 minutes to do a successful deployment. But of course, we won't wait for that. Instead of that, I will show you immediately the end result of another deployment I have been doing before today, which is via Azure 2. Your deployment is complete. And in fact, I have already done number 1, 2, and 3 all together as a test. Soon, if I do a refresh and select only via Azure 4 will come in. That's the one that we are currently deploying. But let's say, for instance, if we select this one, this is the managed application. The only thing that you can see here is, welcome to your managed application message from SAS, and you can delete it at any time, which is quite relevant after all, because if you delete it, you stop paying, of course, for this managed application. Now, a bit more interesting are the managed resource group, as I told you before. So I apply the same filter here via Azure. I can see that via Azure 4 is already coming, the prefix, the managed resource group. But currently, I'm more interested in the ones that have been running before. Let's take via Azure 1 here, for instance. And I can see all the resources that has been created for me, the Kubernetes service. But I'm going immediately with you to the deployments here. And I see all the sub-deployments and one main deployment. That's the last one here. The sub-deployments, for instance, the AKS, it took 4 minutes to deploy the AKS. It took 33 minutes to deploy Viya, which is pretty good. In a half hour, all the containers, all the pods were running on the AKS cluster. But maybe the most relevant one and the most important one is this one here. Here I see the total time it took to get the environment up and running. But also if I go into the details, I see the same screen I have been showing before. Your deployment is complete, but I can also see input variables and output variables. And it's the output variables where I found probably the most relevant field, which is my URL again to access the environment. But I can see, for instance, as well, which cadence, which version I have been installing, or which Kubernetes version I've been using. Now, for now, let's jump to an environment that I have been deployed before, which is via Azure 3. I'm entering here the environment, and I actually can go over the menu, and I have access to all the applications that have been deployed with SAS Viya on Azure. The offering we are deploying here is visual machine learning. You get access to Model Studio, Model Manager, visual analytics, etc. So let's start here with within our demo with Explore and Visualize, which is actually visual analytics. And I will make use of some data that I have already preloaded on this environment. It's data named Parkinson. Takes a little while to load, but now we're getting there. I start with data, and then I select the Parkinson table. He will now list first my columns. There they are. And I can actually hit the OK button. And then I can start exploring my data. How I'm doing that? Well, here I have a few objects. First, a few standard objects, but let's say I'm a data scientist. It's not completely true, but let me try some things. Here, for instance, automatic prediction. What can I do here? Well, I need to assign data, and this is probably data related to Parkinson's disease. Well, I select this value here to see what are the values for the most important factors to predict if you have Parkinson, yes or no. Now, I see here all kind of statistical information that I not understand so well, so let me select another object, which is automated explanation, and I drag and drop this object on the canvas. I need to assign data again, a response variable, and go again for the Parkinson one here. And maybe I should remove this one here so I see a bit more on my screen. Oh, this is interesting. What factors are most related to Parkinson? And here I can see already some variables that probably have a serious impact to predict if somebody will have a chance to get Parkinson or not. Let's make it a bit more complicated, and I go down here and I see, for instance, I can also start building models, for instance, gradient boosting or random forest. Well, let me select this one here, gradient boosting, and assign some data. It asks me again for a response variable, and it asks me as well for predictors. Well, looking to the chart below, I can actually select the 5 most relevant ones. So going here with this one, and then have that as a second one. And then I have here this one ending on 12, 35 I see. And then finally, so these are the 5 most relevant based on the information I have found before. So I select that and I close it, and hey, you get a gradient boosting. Actually, I can go further. I can go and click here on Create Pipeline. That would bring me in Model Studio, where it will create a project for me with an analytical pipeline in it. Well, I won't do it again here to save some time because I have been doing that already. Let me switch with you to SAS Model Studio and open that generated pipeline there. The projects are loading. I have here the interactive project that have been created for me a few hours ago. And I can see that I have here the same data I was already using in SAS Visual Analytics. I'm going to the pipelines. This pipeline has been run successfully. I could add something more. For instance, I could add a gradient boosting, and I could actually start running the pipeline, which I have been doing before, by the way, because if I go here to the pipeline comparison, I can see he already found a champion model. Of course, at that time I only had one, which was the gradient boosting was my champion. And I could have selected and then select register models. It's gray out now because it has been registered already. Where has it been registered? Well, it has been registered in Manage Models. So if I switch to Model Manager, I would see a project with that model inside. So my Model Manager project is opening now, and I here have indeed that interactive project that I can click, and I have exactly one model in it, a gradient boosting. Now, there's another thing you need to know that comes along with SAS Viya on Azure is the fact that we are deploying a Jupyter Hub automatically. So if you go to the same URL and you let it follow by hub, yeah, it's just, so let me do it again because I was just too late for that. Via Azure 3/hub, there you go. No, it goes very quickly. It brings you in the Jupyter lab anyway. So we are providing that environment out of the box for you. Even more on that, if we click here on data and then Python, we will give you a sample notebook where you can find the details how to connect to SAS. Actually, this is those two lines here. So no hassle anymore with finding the right syntax. You have a sample notebook that you can immediately start using. And it's showing you a few of the things you can do. Now, I don't want to show you this notebook. I want to go to here, which is a model ops Python notebook that I have, that a colleague of me has made for this demo. And I actually can start running that immediately completely by saying restart the kernel and execute all the cells below. So, and then you see it starting here. We just have to provide here the password of the Viya admin user, and then all cells should be executed quickly. You will get some warnings along the way, but that's fine. It's just because we are using deprecate methods. But as long as you see that at the end, it means your model that you have created here in this notebook has been registered in Model Manager. More specifically, I have coded this notebook in a way that it should end up in the same Model Manager project that we have been created before, where we have registered the gradient boosting. So let me refresh here, and hopefully we will get a Python model now registered. Oh, this is good, because now we have a Python model and a gradient boosting model, both working on the same Parkinson data. So, and then you can start comparing things, etc. But that's the work for a real data scientist, and I'm not a real data scientist. But with that, I hope you got an idea what SAS Viya on Azure can bring for you. Thank you for your attention, and hope to see you soon again. Bye-bye.
How about that? Again, that was Alice McClure and Frederick V with the release talk. Who would have thought it's that easy to access the analytics lifecycle? It's not 2023 yet, but today we got a peek into the future. Now, sadly, ladies and gentlemen, it is the end of our show, but next month we will all hang out again with new people to talk about what's new in the SAS world. You can subscribe to the SAS Users YouTube channel and get notified on when the October show will be. That's going to be on October 18th. There's already a link for that up, so just click on the notify me button for that. But until then, I've been Tiago de Souza, and I will see you in the future. Bye-bye.